The first time I brought my husband to a dinner with my friends, he was an hour late. The server had come by 3 times to ask when we wished to be served. Each time, I offered a strained smile and asked for a little more time. The air grew thick with unspoken pity. When he finally arrived, it was the woman in the passenger seat who captured everyone's attention. She was bright, young, undeniably beautiful. "Hi everyone, I'm Chloe, Nathan's new intern from the corporate strategy team, also a grad student at Stanford." I turned to look at my husband, Nathan. His expression was unreadable, a mask of cool indifference I knew all too well. He gave a slight, dismissive nod in her direction. "Keep up," was all he said. "You must be Nathan's wife. It's so great to meet you. I'm Chloe. Nathan always speaks so highly of you." Her voice was a chirpy, confident melody. She thrust a perfectly manicured hand toward me. This dinner was supposed to be a casual reunion with old college friends. I had been surprised when Nathan agreed to come. I'd spent the whole day preparing, choosing an outfit I thought he'd like, hoping for a glimpse of the man I'd fallen for years ago. Now, his arrival with this vibrant young woman made my careful preparation seem foolish. My pretended happiness a pathetic joke. Every person at the table watched me, waiting for my reaction. After a heartbeat of silence, I took her hand. My voice was quieter than I wanted it to be. "Hello, Chloe?" She slid into the seat next to Nathan's as if it were her birthright. The exchanged glances around the table were a language of their own, a symphony of pity directed at me. Someone finally whispered, "Evelyn, aren't you going to introduce him?" Before I could speak, Chloe stood up, reaching for the wine bottle. "I'm so sorry. I have to borrow this," she announced, filling a glass to the brim. "This one's for Nathan. Thank you for giving me so many chances this past month, for being so patient with all my mistakes. I'm truly sorry today's meeting ran late because of me." She downed the entire glass in one go, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. She poured another. "And this one is for all of you. I'm so sorry for making Nathan late and delaying your dinner. My fault entirely." The second glass followed the first. She reached for a third. "And this one is for you, Evelyn. I'm sorry for crashing your party like this. I hope we can be friends. I hope we can both support Nathan together." Nathan's voice, low and firm, cut through her performance. "Chloe, that's enough. Sit down." "But Nathan," I just wanted to. He pushed a glass of water toward her. "You shouldn't drink so much. It's not good for you." A cold shard of memory pierced me. 2 years ago, at his birthday party, his friends had pushed glass after glass into my hands. I'd felt sick, my head spinning, but Nathan had just watched from the sidelines, a faint, cruel smile on his lips. "She can handle it," he'd said. I ended up in the emergency room that night, my stomach ravaged. The doctor said I'd damaged the lining. Even now, the smallest amount of alcohol brings back the pain. Chloe accepted the water with a grateful, slightly dazed smile, a flush blooming on her cheeks. I mechanically introduced Nathan to the table. The mood shifted instantly. My friends began addressing him with a new, deferential respect, raising their glasses to him. He accepted their toast with a detached air, taking only the smallest sip each time. His presence was a condescension. We were all beneath him. What was meant to be a relaxed gathering had twisted into a formal business function. At one point, Chloe moved to intercept a drink offered to Nathan. He gently pushed her hand down, his eyes finding mine across the table. "Let Evelyn handle it." Chloe blinked, turning her wide, innocent eyes on me. "Oh, Evelyn, would you? I'm such a lightweight." Those 2 glasses have already gone to my head, so I became the tool, the human shield. Glass after glass, I drank until the room tilted and my stomach clenched in familiar, painful rebellion. I excused myself and stumbled toward the restroom. Inside a stall, I heard the door open and 2 voices echo in the tiled room. "I've never seen Evelyn like this, so diminished. I thought her family was loaded once. That was years ago. They went bankrupt. Her father jumped off a building. Her mother ran off and remarried. Her brother's in a permanent care facility. I heard she's basically a kept woman. Guess she finally got him to marry her." Marriage? Does it look like a marriage to you? She can't even get a word in. That intern, though, she's got spunk, knows how to play the game. Did you see how he looked at her? I give it a year before there's a new Mrs. Thorne. Serves her right. Always thought she was too good for everyone. Now look at her." The voices faded as they left. I stood up, walked to the sink, and splashed cold water on my face. The woman in the mirror had fine features, but her eyes were shadowed with a deep, weary sadness. They were right. I didn't know how to play games. I didn't know how to flirt or beg for attention. My method was simpler. I tried to anticipate Nathan's needs, I tried to please him. It was the devotion of a servant. But soon, it would all be over. There was a time, before my family's fall, when I had loved Nathan Thorne. He was the city's most eligible bachelor, handsome, powerful, brilliant. Admiring strength is a human instinct, but my girlish crush was quickly crushed by reality. My family lost everything. My father ended his life. My mother left the country to start a new family. My younger brother, Leo, was left broken by the aftermath. A victim of cruel bullying that left him with severe brain damage. He would never wake up. Overnight, I became someone to be avoided, a bearer of bad luck. To pay Leo's mounting medical bills, I dropped out of school. I washed dishes, waited tables, and finally, I swallowed my pride and went to Nathan Thorne. He was on the board of the hospital. I begged for help. I will never forget the look in his eyes that day. He sat in a lavish armchair, looking down at me as I knelt on the floor. It was a look of cold, calculating desire. I knew that look. The wealthy always crave novelty. The sight of a former rival's daughter brought so low must have been irresistibly entertaining. I had thought Nathan was different. Above such base instincts, I was wrong. I moved into the apartment he provided. I wore the clothes he sent. I learned his routines and his preferences. I bit back cries of pain during intimate moments, fearing his displeasure, until sweat dripped from my forehead onto his chest. He noticed. Sometimes, he would slow down, his voice rough. Be good. His kisses would rain down on my skin. Almost like love, he cleared Leo's debts. He arranged for better equipment, for top specialists. Grateful, I became even more obedient. I tolerated his friends' cruel jokes, their late-night calls demanding I fetch a drunken Nathan from bars, where I'd often find him with other women clinging to him. They forced drinks on me during my weakest days, just to watch me suffer for him. Someone once called me a dog that didn't know how to bark or bite. I smiled. It felt accurate. So when Nathan asked me to marry him, I was stunned. I had no right to refuse. I accepted with tearful gratitude. Like it was the greatest gift. The news spread. His mother showed up at my door and slapped me across the face 10 times. Later, men cornered me in an alley. They tore my clothes. Nathan arrived before the worst could happen. He tried to wrap his coat around my shaking shoulders. But I flinched away. It was all because of him. The air grew cold. He laughed. A short, harsh sound. Evelyn, if you were really so proud, you never would have spread your legs for me in the first place. I pressed my lips together. I'm sorry, I whispered. It was my default response. He grew angrier. What happened to the Evelyn I used to know? Did she die? His words felt like a physical blow. He didn't know. A part of me had died, but I had Leo to care for. The old Evelyn was elegant, proud, and dignified. That Evelyn would never have packaged herself as a commodity. He had helped kill her, and yet, in 1,000 quiet moments, I had still fallen for him. Sometimes I even let myself believe he might feel something for me too. Why else would he marry me? Even if it was just a transaction, an act of charity. He gave me the title of Mrs. Thorne. He gave me a beautiful ring. He came home most nights. But things that aren't yours to keep must eventually be returned. After the disastrous dinner, Nathan had already paid the bill. He was waiting in the driver's seat of his car, accepting the goodbyes of my friends with a bored expression. Chloe was, once again, nestled in the passenger seat. From a distance, they looked perfect together. His eyes met mine through the crowd. Get in the car. I didn't argue. I opened the rear door and slid into the back seat. The eyes of my former friends burned into my back. Chloe's voice floated from the front, sweet with false concern. I'm so sorry, Evelyn. I get terribly carsick. You don't mind, do I? I turned to look out the window, saying nothing. The car was silent for a few minutes before a soft sniffle came from the front. Then another. Nathan slammed on the brakes, pulling the car over. He turned to her, his voice tight. What's wrong? I'm sorry, she wept. I shouldn't have taken this seat. It was presumptuous. Please, Nathan. Let me get out here. I can call a ride. His sharp gaze cut to me in the mirror. Evelyn, apologize to her. There was a time he claimed he loved my spirit. Now, any spark of independence in me was an annoyance, while her calculated tears were endearing. The pain was sudden and sharp. Maybe it was the alcohol weakening my defenses. I pushed the car door open and got out. I'll get a cab. You go. I shut the door and started walking. Behind me, I heard her crying intensify. Then his voice, cold with fury. Evelyn, have I been too lenient with you these past few years? Have you forgotten your place? The car door opened. Take one more step. I dare you. I froze. Leo was my weakness. He knew it. He always knew how to use him against me. Hearing my footsteps stop, he gave a cold laugh. Since you like walking so much, you can walk home tonight. The car sped away. I hadn't realized I was crying until I felt the cold wind on my wet cheeks. For this dinner, I'd worn a nice dress and my highest heels. Soon, my feet were screaming in agony. I took the shoes off and walked barefoot on the cold pavement. My head throbbed. But I didn't stop. The sky was beginning to lighten when I finally reached the house. Exhausted, I pushed open the door to the master bedroom and my breath caught. A lace bra was tossed carelessly on the floor, a silk stocking draped over a chair. Nathan lay asleep on the bed, his back bare. The sound of running water came from the ensuite bathroom. Nausea overwhelmed me. I ran to the guest bathroom and vomited until there was nothing left. My head pounded. My body was chilled to the bone. The noise woke him. He appeared in the doorway, wearing a robe, his expression unreadable. When was your last period? The question was so absurd I almost laughed. The steady diet of birth control pills he insisted upon made the question irrelevant. I'm on the pill, I said flatly, turning on the faucet to splash water on my face. His eyes swept over me, taking in my disheveled state, the dirty dress, the bare feet. His gaze dropped to my feet, bruised and bleeding from the long walk. He knelt suddenly, his fingers closing around my ankle. His touch was surprisingly gentle. You idiot, he hissed, anger flashing in his eyes. I told you to walk and you actually walked? You couldn't hail a taxi? I thought of the woman in our shower, wearing my bathrobe, using my towels. I pulled my foot from his grasp. The walk was fine, I said, my voice empty. My indifference seemed to irritate him further. That stubborn pride of yours needs to be broken. Clean yourself up and make breakfast. Just then, Chloe emerged from the master bathroom. She was wearing my slippers and my favorite bathrobe. Her hair was damp, droplets of water glistening on her skin. She looked young and radiant. Seeing me, her expression shifted into one of contrite innocence. Evelyn, you're back. I'm so sorry. The guest shower head is broken. I hope you don't mind that I used yours. Please don't misunderstand. It was 6 in the morning. Her intimate wear was scattered across our bedroom. Misunderstanding was impossible. I saw the calculated fear in her eyes as she subtly moved closer to Nathan, seeking his protection. His face was impassive, his eyes watching me, waiting for my reaction. I felt a familiar, weary ache. I don't mind, I said. I knew my place. I had no right to question him. My behavior last night had been a transgression. I wouldn't make that mistake again. His voice turned icy, filled with a sudden, inexplicable rage. Chloe had a long night. Make her some hangover soup. 2 glasses of wine. I thought, 2 glasses. And he wants hangover soup for her. I had drunk myself to the point of internal bleeding for him, and he had watched with amusement. I said nothing. The pain in my heart was a physical, cutting thing. Chloe's cheeks pinkened. Thank you, Nathan, you're too kind. I dried my face and walked past them, down to the kitchen. I made breakfast. When they came down, my heart sank again. Chloe was wearing the expensive spring suit Nathan had given me for my birthday. It was beautiful, elegant, and I had saved it for a special occasion that never came. She was curvier than me. The tailored suit strained over her hips and bust, transforming its elegance into something overtly sexual. Evelyn, I'm so sorry. My clothes got torn last night. Nathan said you never wear this one, that you wouldn't mind me borrowing it. Her smile was bright, her eyes sharp. It's no wonder you don't wear it though. It's such a princess style, not really your vibe anymore, and this color washes you out. I'd be happy to help you pick something more flattering sometime. The insults were wrapped in sugary concern. I chose to ignore them. At the table, Nathan smiled at her, a genuine, warm smile that transformed his face. For a moment, I saw the ghost of the young man I'd once loved, but the feeling was fleeting. It was time to say goodbye. As he was leaving, I handed him his suit jacket. Can you come home early tonight? There's something I need to talk to you about. He took the jacket, his dark eyes studying me for a beat. We'll see, he said. He didn't come home that night, or the next. I saw a photo on a friend's social media feed. It was a blurry, candid shot from a bar. Chloe had her hands fisted in Nathan's tie, pulling him down into a kiss. She looked bold, reckless, and utterly captivating. It was everything I could never be. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I went to the hospital. Leo lay still and pale in his bed. His features, so like our mother's, were delicate and peaceful. I stroked his cheek, tears flowing silently. The nurse, Maggie, who had become a friend, handed me a tissue. Evelyn, don't cry, it's good news. After years of care, Leo's condition had stabilized. His latest surgery had been a success. The doctors said the chances of him ever waking were slim, but he could soon be moved to a long-term care facility. It was the hope I'd been clinging to. My plan was simple. Once Leo was settled, I would leave Nathan. I would take my brother and we would disappear. Start a life where I didn't have to constantly read the mood of a man who saw me as furniture. Thank you, Maggie, I whispered. Don't thank me. As soon as the transfer paperwork is signed by the director, I'll call you. We'll celebrate properly then. I managed a smile. I'd like that. Nathan didn't come home that night either. I reheated dinner until it was ruined. At 11 o'clock, my phone rang. It was Maggie. Her voice was choked with tears. Evelyn, you need to come to the hospital now. It's Leo. I ran out the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. The scene outside Leo's room was chaos. Medical equipment that should have been monitoring his vital signs was smashed on the floor. Two nurses were struggling to restrain a disheveled woman. Even with her hair wild and her face contorted, I recognized her immediately. It was my mother. And she was visibly pregnant. He's my son, she screamed. I have the right to take him home. Ma'am, he cannot be moved. His condition is too fragile. He will die. I don't care. Let go of me. Do you know what I can do to you? I'm pregnant. I looked past her to Leo. His cheek was scratched. His gown was torn. A terrible gray pallor was spreading over his face. I screamed and dropped to my knees, scrambling to help a doctor gather the broken pieces of a monitor. A voice, sharp with urgency, cut through the noise. It's too late. Get him to the OR now. There was a frantic rush as they wheeled Leo's bed away. Down the long, bright hallway, I stood frozen, trembling from head to toe. Then I heard a voice behind me, cold and familiar. So you're Leo's sister. I turned slowly. It was Chloe. She was wearing another one of my outfits, the one I'd seen missing from my closet that morning. She stood there, supporting my sobbing mother, her expression a mix of boredom and contempt, and suddenly I remembered. My mother had married a man named Collins, Chloe Collins. The world shrank to a tiny, cruel point. My mother wailed, turning her hysteria on me. You ungrateful girl. Keeping him alive is a waste of money. Why are you doing this? So you want him to die? He's your son, I shouted, my vision blurring with rage. I was looking at a face that shared Leo's bone structure, now twisted by greed and madness. I know what you're after, the insurance money, isn't that it? Chloe stepped forward, her voice a mask of soothing reason. Evelyn, please, we're family. There's no need for such ugly accusations. I didn't think. My hand moved on its own. The slap echoed in the hallway, sharp and final. Chloe's head snapped to the side. She gasped. We are not family, I said, my voice low and shaking, my palms stinging. What do you think you're doing? A voice roared. Nathan was there. He must have just arrived. Chloe's eyes fluttered dramatically. She let out a soft moan and collapsed perfectly into his arms. His hands gripped her waist, a gesture of possession that felt like a physical blow. I couldn't look away from them. Then movement caught my eye. Maggie was standing by the doors to the operating room. She wasn't moving. She was just standing there, crying, and I knew before she even opened her mouth. The fluorescent lights of the hallway were blindingly white. Something inside me broke. A wire, stretched taut for years, finally snapped. I heard my own voice, calm and dead. Nathan, I want a divorce. He stiffened, his focus snapping away from the unconscious girl in his arms. His eyes lost their focus for a second, then narrowed. Divorce? He said, a slow, contemptuous smile spread across his face. What makes you think we're actually married? The world stopped. The noise of the hospital faded into a dull hum. I struggled to process his words through the overwhelming grief for my brother. You didn't really believe the Thorne family would let me legally marry a useless ornament, did you? The words hit me like a physical blow. Of course, it all made a terrible, perfect sense. I had a ring, but I'd never seen a marriage certificate. His mother's opposition had suddenly vanished. The child he'd coldly insisted I abort. The family holidays I was never invited to. The utter lack of respect from his inner circle. I had never been his wife. I was his long-term mistress. A well-kept secret. A beautiful, stupid pet he enjoyed controlling. He loved watching me navigate a world built on his lies. I thought I couldn't hurt more than I did at that moment. But his simple, cruel revelation plunged me into a new depth of icy despair. Tears I couldn't control streamed down my face. I gave up trying to wipe them away. My voice was a broken whisper then. Please, let me go. I couldn't see his expression clearly through my tears, but I felt his posture harden. Maggie appeared beside me. She said something to him, her voice fierce, then put her arm around me and led me away. I saw Leo one last time. His skin was cold. I held him and cried until I had no tears left. The following days were a blur of grim arrangements. At the crematorium, I found my mother waiting outside. She had been crying. Evelyn, she whispered, her voice trembling. The insurance money. For Leo. I looked at her. Really looked at her. All feeling for her had died. The only reason I haven't called the police is because of the past, I said, my voice flat. But if you push me, I will learn from your example. I will turn my own mother in, she sobbed. I didn't want him to die. It was Chloe's idea. I'm his mother. I loved him. I clutched the simple urn containing Leo's ashes to my chest, as if to shield him from her words. Don't you dare say you loved him, I said, my voice low and venomous. You lost that right a long time ago. I walked away from her. When I left the cemetery, Nathan's car was parked by the road. The passenger seat was empty, but I was no longer foolish enough to think it was for me. The window rolled down. He looked impatient. Are you done with this tantrum now? He was wearing the silver gray tie with subtle patterns I'd given him on what I thought was our first anniversary. I remembered his puzzled expression when he'd opened the box. What's this for? He'd asked. The question had stung, a tiny sharp pain. I'd brushed it off, saying it was on sale. I'd been so focused on the intimacy of tying it for him, I'd missed the fleeting mockery in his eyes. Get in the car, or are you planning to walk again? There was a slight softening in his tone, perhaps a recognition of what I'd lost. I ignored him, hailed a passing taxi, and got in. I watched his face darken with anger in the rearview mirror as we drove away, back at the house. I didn't wait for him. I went straight to the bedroom and started packing. It didn't take long, just my clothes and my documents. His voice came from the doorway, low and dangerous. You're really pushing this, Evelyn? His hands closed around my wrists, hard, and he threw me onto the bed. His weight pinned me down. I struggled, pushing against him with all my strength, but he didn't move. Despair washed over me. In a final act of defiance, I sank my teeth into his shoulder until I tasted blood. He cursed, shoving himself off me, his eyes blazing with fury. Evelyn, if it weren't for me, your brother would have died years ago. I looked directly into his dark, cold eyes. The love I'd once felt had curdled into a profound, aching pity. How could I have ever thought he loved me? And where will you go without me? He sneered. Who in this city would dare take you in? You were raised to be a princess. You have no idea how to live like a commoner. You'd hate it. His words crushed the last fragile remnants of my affection for him. Tears welled in my eyes, but they were not tears for him. Seeing them, his voice softened slightly. Look, I know it's not a legal marriage, but everyone knows you're mine. That counts for something. Even if I marry properly one day, I'll still take care of you. You'll want for nothing. I unclenched my fists, my knuckles white. My voice was utterly calm. Nathan, I am a person, not your possession. He was taken aback. Irritation flashed across his face. Haven't I treated you well? Don't be ungrateful. He had been generous. By his standards, he'd been mostly faithful. He came home most nights. He'd taken me on lavish trips. He gave me material things. For a wife, it might have been lacking. For a mistress, it was extravagantly kind. I am grateful for your care over the years, but my mind is made up. Your brother just died and you're already ditching me? His laugh was harsh. You think I'm a fool? I kept my head down, silent. His face darkened, a flicker of something like panic in his eyes. Fine, go. See how far you get. He stepped aside, his voice was icy. Just remember, don't come crawling back to me. I took my suitcase and walked out. His final words hung in the air behind me. I mean it, Evelyn. Don't you dare come back. I knew leaving Nathan meant starting from zero. The road would be hard, but I had built a life once before my family's fall. I could do it again when I was finally settled in a small apartment. I met Maggie at a famous hot spring resort. We loaded our plates at the buffet and found a quiet spot by a thermal pool. Maggie ate quickly and soon excused herself to the restroom. As the evening lights came on, a group of people walked in. My body went rigid. At the front, moving with lazy arrogance, was Nathan. Chloe was clinging to his arm. There were about a dozen of them. The manager rushed over, apologizing, and began quietly asking other guests to leave. Nathan's eyes found me, A smirk touched his lips. It's fine, he told the manager, his voice carrying, she's an old friend. The manager bowed and retreated. I stayed where I was, waiting for Maggie, trying to ignore his burning stare. I focused on a bowl of fruit. Chloe detached herself from the group and walked over, her smile sweet, her eyes venomous. I wondered how long it would take for you to show up here. It was all an act, wasn't it? Playing the proud, wounded bird? You didn't really think he'd ever want you back. I'd heard the stories over the past months, how Nathan took Chloe to business summits, how he bought her a penthouse in the East End, how he doted on her openly. People said the affection he showed her in a few months surpassed what he'd shown me in years. They said he'd finally found his true match. Had it been real with me? I thought of a winter years ago, watching the freezing rain. I mentioned I'd love to see snow. He'd canceled his meetings, chartered a plane, and taken me to a private villa in Hokkaido for a week. For that brief moment, it had felt real, but real feelings are fleeting. I looked at this young woman, so desperate to secure her prize, and felt a pang of pity. I'm leaving soon. You have nothing to worry about. Her face tightened suddenly, her eyes widened. She let out a sharp cry and threw herself backward into the hot spring, her hand grabbing my robe and pulling me in with her. The water was shockingly hot. I struggled, disoriented, as her hands clawed at me, holding me under. I panicked, fighting for air. There was a loud splash. The weight on me vanished. I broke the surface, gasping. Nathan was in the water, holding a sputtering Chloe, swimming toward the edge. Laughter echoed around me. Did you see that? She's not even wearing a top. What a show, man. I need a cold shower. Someone throw her robe further away. Let's see the whole performance. I crossed my arms over my chest, my thin white t-shirt transparent and clinging. I looked at Nathan instinctively. His face was hard. Chloe was whispering in his ear, crying. His gaze on me was dark, unreadable of course. He was the crown prince of this city. Without his silent permission, no one would dare. I shouldn't expect anything. Then Maggie was there. She'd seen everything. She grabbed a towel from the side and waded into the pool toward me, her face furious. Ignore them. Evelyn, come on. Her simple kindness undid me. My eyes stung with tears I refused to shed. As we reached the edge and climbed out, Nathan's voice stopped me. I heard you're living in some slum now, working a dead-end job, trying to go back to school. He paused, letting the disdain sink in. Evelyn, get over yourself. Apologize to Chloe now, and I'll forget this ever happened. I'll take you back. I stopped walking. He knew exactly where I was, what I was doing. He could make my life impossible with a single phone call. This was his warning, his promise of ruin. I closed my eyes. A single tear escaped. I took another step. He was on me in an instant, spinning me around. His face was a mask of pure, unadulterated rage I had never seen before. His eyes were bloodshot. A vein throbbed on his temple. Evelyn, he ground out, his fingers digging into my arms. Do you have a death wish? I pried his fingers off, one by one. That's all for today's story. Thank you for listening. This is my channel. The tales I share drawn from life or woven from imagination are meant to offer you connection, reflection, and perhaps solace or newfound strength. If you long to see your own reflection in others' journeys, or seek a glimmer of light within the maze of emotions, subscribe to my channel. Listen with your heart. Explore the stories of life.